Hey everybody, welcome to New York Comic Con Saturday, the most busy, fun, cramped day of traditional Comic Con. But this year, everyone's doing it from home or work in their jammies, being comfortable, and we'll ship the stuff straight to your house. So go to bluefinbrands.com, check out all of the exclusives, the bundles, the promotions, all of the great sales we have going on this weekend. Everything ends tomorrow, the last day of New York Comic Con, so make sure that you get it before it's all gone. And while you're on bluefinbrands.com, make sure to enter our contest. We're giving away $5,000 worth of prizes, including one grand prize winner that'll win over $3,000 in prizes from Bandai Hobby, from Tamashi, from Storm Collectibles, everyone in between. And you are not going to want to miss it. So you can go to there at bluefinbrands.com/contest. But today, we're talking about Star Wars. Yay. As you can see, I enjoy the Star Wars, and I am joined with the Bounty Hunters Guild of America. Justin, AJ, David, how are you three doing today?
Fabulous. Excited.
Doing great.
You know what the best part about Comic-Con not being a physical event is we don't have to tear anything down. Like, I was just looking at all your stuff, and I was like, man, I would hate to have to pack up all that stuff.
Yeah, that's always the fun part. That AJ is the specialist on that one, but when you go to Comic-Con on a Thursday, that means we got there like a Tuesday to set everything up, and then after it ends on Sunday, we'll be there till like Monday, maybe even Tuesday, depending on the size of the show, breaking the stuff down. So
people don't get that.
Yeah.
Comic-Con's 4 days for you guys. It's like 9 days for us.
Yeah. Too much.
Yeah. So whenever you go to Comic-Con, just be nice to everyone who's working there because they are working hard just to make sure that you have an amazing time at Comic-Con. And the more fun you have, the more fun we have. So without any more preamble, if you watched our DC or our MCU rankings in the last couple days, you'll know we use Tier Maker, where we're going to rank all 11 feature-length Star Wars films. And
is there 11?
There is
9 plus 2.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
That's how knowledgeable he is.
It's been a long week, man. That's the thing with the digital events is we still have to do a lot of work. It's just on the back end of things.
Well, it's funny. It looks like the order there. The first two kind of bookmark most people's lists. So I guess we'll just get right into it. Attack of the Clones. I think. I don't know about. I can't speak for everyone, but in my impression, all Star Wars is good Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I love the galaxy far, far away. But in order to kind of have a coherent list, even though it says D, that doesn't mean it's terrible. It just means that it's the least good of all Star Wars. And so I have Attack of the Clones at a D.
D for dumb.
D for delightful.
There you go. That's
awesome.
a good. Better word.
All right, AJ, where would you put the mighty Episode 2 Attack of the Clones?
I had put Attack of the Clones on C for clones. I thought the film was cool, but I don't know. I think at the time it had released, I didn't retain as much memory until watching it. Every time, within the last 5 years, I'd watch it every now and then. It's okay. I mean, if I sit down, it's a guilty pleasure just to be like, cool, that movie finished it, and on to the next. But yeah, definitely a C-worthy movie for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun going in the last act. Once Obi-Wan and Jango kind of have their fight and you go to Geonosis and stuff, there's some fun to be had. What about you, David? Where would you rank Episode 2?
All right, so just so everyone knows, I was really young when these came out. I was like 10 or 11 when they started coming out. So I actually enjoyed the prequels. So that just so you know, going forward, I don't want any hate. The Clones, though, I did give it a C because it wasn't that great, but it gave us a lot of good memes. I hate sand,
but not
it's
as much
everywhere.
As 3.
The prequels are all about the memes.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. What about you, Justin? Where do you stick the mighty birth of Hayden Christensen's Star Wars run?
So I actually this is actually my least favorite Star Wars of all of them. And so I actually put it at a D. But maybe I'm just crazy. I mean, I like Count Dooku. I love the fight with Yoda. But when Anakin is fighting Dooku, it's just close-ups on their face with a couple of twirlies of glow of their lightsaber, which is so lame. The whole picnic stuff on Naboo is kind of lame. There's just a lot that I just find frustrating about that movie.
kind of lame.
Yeah, I was and I mean the end is really cool. Like the whole part in that Coliseum and all the lightsabers turn on and
Yeah.
and Mace Windu's chopping off heads and everything. That was definitely really really cool. But I don't think the payoff was worth the wait. So
Yeah, we're in Naboo for a long time, and there's a lot of awkward romance.
yeah, it was Twilight before Twilight. It was weird.
We could keep it a secret.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So,
All right.
but it was definitely cool seeing all the clones and all their cool vehicles and just trying to figure out what the whole thing was with the separatists and what their problem was and I don't know.
I think I had bought like a bunch of the product that had come out that same year for everything. I'm like, I have to have every one of these things.
Yeah, you know, well, their toys were actually pretty cool because they had those fun like little effect parts that came with all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as we get farther into this, you'll see that I have a love for clones and all things clones, and even Order 66. So, but next up is going to be Empire Strikes Back. 40th anniversary this year. I got to see it in the theater, and it was even better than I remember. It is my all-time favorite movie of all time. It is an S, and anyone who doesn't put it as an S, I will fight you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
What say you, Justin?
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. It's a total S for me. Love it, love it, love it. Everything from the beginning all the way to the end. One of my favorite parts is Vader just sort of leading the pack into the base on Hoth, and he's just not afraid. He's going to get his prize, and I just think that that's so cool. He's not sitting up in a starship letting someone else do the work. He goes down to get him, and I think that's so badass. And just it's a lot like two movies in one, you know, because Luke goes off to train with Yoda, and then Han and Leia, Chewie, and 3PO are left to their own devices, and they're in a lot of trouble. They're on the run the whole time. We get that creepy uncle vibe when you get to Bespin, and so you don't really know what's going on. I just think that there's a lot going for it, and it's more edge of your seat than any of the other Star Wars movies.
Yeah, and shout out to Wayne and Scott in the chat for chiming in. They work with us, and they are amazing peeps who know a little bit about Star Wars. So, Mr. Clark, what say you about Empire Strikes Back?
I had it as an S as well. I remember watching the original trilogy back to back as a wee lad, and I remember when I got to the part where he was like, "I am your father." Like 8-year-old me was like, "What?" Like it blew my mind. Like it was like the most crazy thing I've ever heard in my life. So yeah, I will never forget that feeling. S all the way.
All right, AJ, don't ruin this for us.
it is. Well, I don't want to say it, but no, it's definitely an S.
D.
I think even I think the beginning itself, like being like on Hoth, was already like something different, and it felt really cool. Like the fact that like we had a different planet, and I think that's the best part about like Star Wars is when we get to explore different environments. So with this movie, it was definitely an S immediately from the beginning, and then when we got to that scene with the "I am your father" part, like that was also mind blowing because I was also not that much older than Clark, so it stuck with me. Hopefully it stuck with everyone.
Yeah, and I think visually it's probably the best looking of all 11 Star Wars films. Once you go to Bespin, especially seeing it on the big screen for the 40th anniversary recently, it just really, really so vibrant. The score, the music, once you hear it in like the Dolby mix and stuff like that, it's just a whole nother level of craft for Star Wars films. So
I think like watching it again, I think my only gripe was like I started thinking realistically. So then I'm like, when he fell, I'm like, okay, and then just went into like he just fell into like that chute slide. I'm like, is that really?
It's kind of fun.
AJ, they just had a fight with swords made of solidified
No, that's
light.
real. That's perfectly real.
But okay.
And Vader's throwing stuff at Luke through, through his mind. And...
All right.
Yeah, it's the falling that I don't believe. I'll believe everything else but the falling.
And you know what also cool about their whole fight was Dave and I were talking about this last week, is how when it begins, Vader's fighting him with just one hand. And then when he sees that he actually has some chops, then he's like, all right, fine, I'll two-hand this thing. It's kind of like the Dread Pirate Roberts, like I'm not left-handed or whatever kind of thing. And so it's really cool to see him step up his game to be able to beat him. And I think a lot of people forget that Luke is just being trained with like one purpose, and that's to defeat Vader. And I think that that's pretty cool that he's getting this crash course on how to be a Jedi, and it's like, okay, go for it. Yeah, that's great.
Nice. And thanks, Jay, for pointing out we had the wrong banner up there. It is fixed now.
Oh, what was it before?
It was the DC one.
Oh,
Oh dang.
Sorry, DC for Delightful Cinema.
there you go.
Ooh.
Speaking of delightful cinema, the next one up is The Force Awakens. I believe the screen's kind of cut off a little bit. Is The Force Awakens next?
Let's see here.
Looks like Force Awakens.
Yeah.
There we go. Force Awakens. For me, Force Awakens was fun. I've lived in 2 generations knowing that I'd seen the last Star Wars movie. I never thought we'd get the prequels, and then once the prequels were done, I knew we were done with Star Wars, and we were never going to get more movies. And I think that's why a lot of people have such bad taste for the prequels. Not myself, but some people have a distaste for prequels because that was like the lasting image that we were going to get of Star Wars on the big screen. To where I think had we known there were going to be sequels, they would have been more favorable. And I can see Justin's moving because I'm talking too much. Force Awakens for me is a B. It's a middle of the pack film. It's fun. Whatever you want to say about it. Abrams makes films that move at a real fast clip, and you can't really fault most of the things that happen in it. So, B for me. AJ, what say you?
It had a C. I think when the movie premiered, obviously I didn't know what we were going to get out of this entire new trilogy, and I had an open mind with everything. And so when we see like Kylo Ren, it's like that's kind of cool, and then like other characters start showing me like that's kind of cool. And we had BB-8, and I'm like, I like that character. Like, okay, this is okay. This is not too bad. I'm not going to judge it based on the following movies, but as a movie on its own, I think it's C-worthy for me.
Okay, what about you, Clark?
As
As the resident sequel film haters.
I had it at a D for a lot of reasons. The first one was that I bought a lot of Phasma merchandise just to watch that character go nowhere. I bought the shirts, the pop figures. I bought several of the model kits. I was very disappointed. Look, she looks cool. Her cape is red and black, and as you can tell, that's my thing.
Right.
So I was disappointed with that. I didn't like. At one point, Finn gets whipped in the back like a slave with a lightsaber, so that sucked. What's her face? Rey just mastered the Force, beat Kylo Ren, which caused me to not take him seriously at all because I don't think he ever got a chance to win. It just her just knowing the Falcon better than Han up and just leaving Leia, and not seeing her again until the end of this movie. It's like, why did you just up and leave all those years? I thought you would change or whatever. It was a lot of not good.
I can see your frustration with Rey. I mean, she didn't come from a desert planet and never fly a starship in her entire life and then blow up a Death Star or spend 8 seconds with Obi-Wan Kenobi on the Falcon and master the Force too.
Luke could not completely understand his X-Wing. I bet you he couldn't fix it if it like something had horribly gone wrong. She got on the Falcon and just fixed it in a way that I looked like Han was like, what really? Huh?
Yeah.
You've been on that ship your whole life. And then she's the Jedi mind trick, just boom, did it. Cool.
She's like,
That's
why is
awesome.
the clock flashing?
She got
12,
really
12, 12?
lucky.
I mean, even Palpatine, Windu, Yoda, they all had to have at least a day of, hey, the Force is a thing, and you can do things with it. She's like, nah, I'm Force Jesus. I got this.
Nazi.
All right, Justin, we got a B, and you said C, right, AJ?
Yeah.
We got a B, a C, and a D. Where are you sticking this?
I'm sticking this. I'm with Clark on this one. I'm a D. I love Poe Dameron. I love that beginning with him where he's just super mega funny. That's great. But I was one of the critics to where like I felt like I'd seen this movie before. I thought it was a rehash of Episode 4, and it was really weird not to see like a giant fleet of ships. Like we just got like there were like 8 vehicles in this whole movie, and I thought that was kind of strange. And I don't know. I wasn't into it. Same with Kylo Ren, how he just got defeated in the first movie. I would have preferred him to be a tad bit more menacing, especially at the beginning when he stops that blaster bolt. We had never seen that before. Like
that was fire though.
Scary.
I'm not gonna lie. When he stopped that bolt, that was fire.
Yeah,
was pretty cool.
that was cool. Yeah, and so he came off as unstoppable, and that ended up not being the case.
He's very
And so,
stoppable.
Yeah,
Extraordinarily
Josh
stoppable.
and you guys.
so I'm with Clark on that one.
All right, so we got a B, a C, and 2 Ds. Where do you want to stick it? Want to stick it in C, or do you want to put it as the higher D?
Yeah, we can put it as a C. That's fine.
All right, put it as
Low
a C.
C for Clark, just for him.
CID.
And I have varying degrees of happiness for the sequel trilogy, but for me, I love Kylo Ren. I know that's a polarizing statement. I think that Kylo Ren is one of the best Star Wars characters, and I love every second of him. So
Can you see
That
this eye
made-
roll?
I
You know,
can't because you got the black eye.
Oh
we have an employee that looks similar to Kylo Ren, and I
He
think that's his
does.
badge. Diego.
Kylo Ren
Oh,
is
man.
not bad. Kylo Ren. I mean,
Yeah.
plus Kylo Ren, we got Matt the radar tech when he went on SNL.
Dude,
That was-
that's canon.
I love it. I love it. That was awesome.
Kylo Ren is
My favorite-
shredded.
Yeah, my favorite part is when he says, someone's like, Kylo Ren's lightsaber is weird. No, it's not. And he gets his like, look at it. Look at it.
He's like, how'd you know it was me? He's like, I knew from when you said hi, I'm Matt.
Yeah.
Sorry, I killed your son.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the best was the follow-up one where he kills that pilot. She's like, oh, I want to be a pilot like Han Solo. And now you're dead like him. All right, let's move on. We got The Last Jedi. This is where the real fights begin. For me, The Last Jedi is my second least favorite Star Wars movie, so I'm going to put it as a D ahead of Attack of the Clones. Abrams sets up that mystery box. He does a great job of setting the plate, and then everything was just pushed to the side. And then when Abrams took back over, he was like, "Oh no, Rey is somebody," and so. It seemed really incongruent. I hate the slow speed chase through space. It makes no sense. Why can't they just go to light speed, and just head them off? It's so silly that they like recreate like the O.J. Simpson like 95 chase in space, and it's so dumb. It's probably the dumbest thing in Star Wars, and for that it is a D. Justin, am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. No. I do think that this movie has a lot of problems. I think it's beautifully shot and it looks great. But I think going back to just even the last one, it was such a shame that Han, Luke, and Leia didn't have a scene together.
Yeah.
And so it was really great for Luke and Leia to have that quick moment. But, I mean, at the end of the day, one of my favorite moments in all of Star Wars is when Kylo Ren's like, fire everything that we have at that man. And we get a real taste of how powerful Luke Skywalker really is. As someone who was a little boy and loved Return of the Jedi and watching Luke Skywalker just go to town with his lightsaber, to see him just kind of brush off the dust on his shoulder, I was like, oh my God, Luke Skywalker is the greatest. And so it'll always give me that moment. But I'm with you. I would probably put this at a D as well. And I'm curious if 20 years from now we're going to be super crazy and this is going to be people's Empire Strikes Back. I think that it's one of those ones that's very divisive, and that one day it's just going to, as time goes on, it's going to creep up this list and go from D to C all the way up to S, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think humor in
should
Star Wars
remind
gets a lot of bad rap, but after that scene you're talking about where he's firing everything and then Hux just turns like, you think we got him?
Right.
I love every time. It's the best tension breaker. So David, what do you think of The Last Jedi?
I actually had a D as well. This movie, like you said, it was very well shot. Like it has, like the scene that single-handedly almost destroys space combat forever, but at the same time was like almost one of the coolest shots ever. The hyperspace Holdo maneuver.
Yeah, that was great.
It was really cool looking. Like it was great. But then when you think about it, you're like, wait a minute. This means that all space fights are now meaningless. And I mean, and also her sacrifice was also meaningless because if you're just hitting the button, like a droid could have done it, or remote control could have done it. A lot of other things. It just that one scene kind of ruined all space fights. Like the Death Star runs are now meaningless. You could have just sent an X-wing and boom, done. That's just one of the many issues. And then of course, Phasma again, just let me
believe
down.
Not in this one.
She got beat by a janitor, bro.
Right.
I spent so much money on her, dude. After episode 7, I was like, okay,
You fell for it again?
I did. Okay, I was
That's
like,
on
no,
you,
no. I'm like,
David.
no,
That's on
she's
you.
got it this time. She's got it this time. I believe. And then I was like, really? I was in the theater. I had my Funko Pop Phasma shirt on. And I was like, this is her time. Guess not. Guess not. Okay, that's cool.
I wish I had watched it with
Screw
you.
me
then.
That hold on
Yeah.
maneuver was really cool, but considering this is a world where you can just use autopilot as code for just get me there and do whatever I need to do, why couldn't they just plug in coordinates or leave a
Right.
droid to say, hey, when we're off this boat, why don't you just go ahead and turn around and do a little light speed thing?
I mean, we have that technology now. I can control a drone from my cell phone.
There you go.
You can't tell a ship turn around.
Well, this was a
Go.
long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. They had
It's
flip
in the-
phones.
it's in the
They didn't-
text.
They weren't ready.
And I'm the last person in the world to defend anything Holdo related because her existence made this man, this hero, this Admiral Akbar.
Yeah.
They had to kill him
yeah.
for her.
Hey.
My impression of like the Holdo maneuver was that her and there you go. Oh, look at all that! Look at all that nonsense.
Yeah.
That she wasn't intending to do the light speed little jump and stuff like that. That her intent was just to like cover the other ships, and so they could escape to the planet. You know, maybe she would use herself as like a shield, or maybe even try to mount some form of offense. And then it came to her that she was going to do the light speed to Endor through the Imperial fleet or the First Order fleet. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
It should be
I agree with
Akbar.
you. It is silly. Yeah, if it was Akbar, I'd have been crying in my seat.
It's a trap.
Right.
Exactly. I'll give you a trap.
Like, didn't he get killed kind of like off screenish almost like when the bridge got blown up with Leia?
Yeah,
He
gets
just got
with
sucked
Leia.
out.
Like
Yeah.
that didn't hit me till after the movie. I was like, wait a minute, did they just kill Akbar? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was
I didn't
another
think
thing
about
too.
that
Is
until the second time.
right. Like it would have also been cool if you know, I was okay with Leia's death if that was how it was going to happen, with her being
Yeah.
sucked out into space.
yeah.
But then when she does the Leia Poppins thing and flies back in,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, all
Leia Poppins,
right.
y'all.
Yeah, I was like, all right, that's how they're gonna do it. That's fine. And then I did think it the beginning again with Poe trolling Hux. I thought that was great, where he's like, oh yeah, I'll hold for him. You know, I thought that was pretty funny. And just the slow bombers. I thought that was kind of a weird technology where
They forgot they had Y wings.
yeah, I know, right? That's what they do, right? And so I don't know. I did think it was crazy that I was very concerned and I really enjoyed Rose's sister in the 3 minutes that she had on screen versus the movie that focused a lot on Rose and then eventually took her out of the picture. But I did think that it was crazy for me to be so concerned and invested in this character that's only on the screen for 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Much
you
like your
learn more
Phasma.
about. Yeah, exactly. You learn more about Paige, who's Rose's sister, in like that opening sequence than you do about Rose in the entirety of the next two films. And
Right.
So,
That was crazy.
Also, they freed the animals on the useless planet of Canto Bight, but like, what about the slave children? They just
Oh, yeah.
no, they don't
they
care
just
about
left them
that.
there. And then one of them's force sensitive. Like, he probably could have came in handy.
They gave one of them a ring. You should give him a ring. I mean, what else do you want him to do, David?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rose.
Free them from the oppressive people on Canto Bight.
So are we leaving this at a D?
Oh
We're
yeah.
waiting for AJ. AJ
Yeah.
hasn't given us his letter grade yet.
It's called The Last Jedi for a reason. It's definitely on the bottom of my list. It is a D.
All right. Do we all agree it's
Yeah.
above Attack of the Clones, or
I
does
do.
anyone have this at last?
No, I have fond memories of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
I don't have fond
I'm
memories of
fine
The
with
Last
this
Jedi.
being. I find Attack of the Clones a little bit better than this.
Do you really?
Yeah, I'm the opposite. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have Last Jedi, then Attack of the Clones.
We'll give you kids with your hula hoops and Pac-Man video games the edge on this one.
I think that's the case. Is the could be a slight age difference in it.
All right, now we get to the one Star Wars movie that none of us were alive for, but it kicked it all off. 1977, Star Wars, later renamed A New Hope. This is a fantastic film. I think when you put it in the pantheon of all Star Wars films, they spend a little too much time on Tatooine for my taste. So I have this as an A. A for A New Hope.
That was an astute observation.
AJ, we kind of cut you off early off on the last movie. Where do you have it, A New Hope?
No, I think you're right. I have mine also at an A. I think that this movie, starting off, knowing that this was the start of everything, it was fantastic. Going back and rewatching it over like the other movies, the sequels and the prequels, it falls slightly shy of my favorite one. So definitely, I think the cast, characters, story, it's great. I think even that, like, you know, when we did you just got to shoot it at this very small spot in the Death Star. I believed it. I think when I play like Star Fox, I had like the same feeling. Did not execute it the exact same way, but you know, Had same feeling. So this movie is definitely an A for me. Fond
Nice.
memories.
And David, Wayne brings up a great part about freeing the slaves. Jedi's not there to free slaves. Just look at Anakin's poor mom.
That's true.
Yeah.
They did leave her. They left her there. And
They
then
got a
when she
history.
died, they're like, "Why are you mad, bro? You left my mom on a desert planet."
They're in the kid trafficking business. Actually, they
like low
they go-
key.
Yeah, that's what
like-
they do.
Like, yeah, I mean, I do like the Sith better. They're at least
Yeah.
honest about what they are.
Right. Jedi's like, no, they're gonna go to this great camp. They're gonna learn exercises. It's gonna be amazing.
And indoctrination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jedi are
Alright.
sneaky.
A New Hope, Clark. What are your thoughts on A New Hope? What do you rank that at?
I rank it as S because one, it was like the first sci-fi movie I ever saw. It also like it had an impact on everything nerdy going forward. Like without Star Wars, there's a lot of other things we don't get. Like, I mean, who knows? Without Star Wars, we don't. There's certain aspects of Gundam we don't get. The Gundam came out 2 years after this, with its beam sabers and everything. It just for its impact on nerd kind as a whole, like it's got to be S.
Nice.
That's fair.
All right, and don't feel too bad, Scott. Scott's feeling a little old, and I think so is Wayne. So I was born 10 months after A New Hope, so this is the
Just
only
missed
film
it.
that I was alive. So
There you go.
I just missed it. It's one of my great regrets in life. I was conceived shortly after it. I'd like to think it was conceived because of A New Hope. That's
During the New Hope,
during like 1 month later, my parents finally got a chance to see it, and they're like, "Hey,
at the
you know,
drive-in.
this movie makes me want to make a kid.
Yeah.
Is this other kid? And he's fighting what will be his dad." Justin, what do you say about A New Hope?
I was with you and AJ. I'm at an A for this one.
All right.
I love it to death, but I can start the movie 20 minutes in and be okay with it.
All right. Next, we have the Phantom Menace.
Try
19
spinning.
years-
That's a good trick.
Yeah, 19 years after
Let it go.
Return of the Jedi, we thought we were never going to see another Star Wars film, and I remember when this came out, there was nothing hotter in the world than Star Wars in 1999, and everyone saw it, and a lot of people were kind of disappointed. I put this as a C. I put it above both Attack of the Clones and The Last Jedi. There are some very, very redeeming qualities of it, of course, Darth Maul and all that stuff, but I don't hate it as much as everybody else does because as an expanded universe fan, we got to see Coruscant and a lot of things I only read about that I never thought I'd get to see, so I was excited to see it in visual form. So Justin, I'll let you go now.
Oh, my turn already? Yeah, I'm with you. I'd put it as a C. I know when I first saw it, I had Star Wars fever. I was pretty pumped about the pod racing. I thought that looked really cool. I mean, I'm a super racing fan anyway, so it was kind of neat to see that aspect of it. And just when we saw the trailer for the first time and Darth Maul turned on his second blade of his lightsaber, I was like, oh my god, there could be a double-bladed lightsaber. It's the greatest thing in the world. And there was so much lightsaber action, and we hadn't really seen that before. It was always just sort of, like two kids in the front yard with sticks. And so seeing them like cut holes through walls and try and cut through doors and it just had a whole new brought a whole new life to it and things that I didn't even know were possible. And so I'm with you. I'd give it a C. I know that Anakin's a bit obnoxious, but at the end of the day, he's just a child actor, and it's crazy that the world had such an impact on him with their negative comments that
Yeah.
it literally affected and ruined his childhood and almost his life. So I mean, he's got to bounce back from that, and that's terrible. And fandoms can be just the absolute worst and toxic. And I feel bad for this kid. So it's not so bad.
Yeah,
Even
One
with
of my
lines like
favorite holiday
Try Spinning.
movies.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, Jingle All the Way.
Yeah,
And it's
he's
also
in Jingle
important to
All the Way.
remember that before the internet, actually the only time you could see trailers was in the movie theater. And Phantom Menace trailer played before Meet Joe Black and The Waterboy. And I remember people just going to see those movies to see the trailer. That's how just impactful this thing was. And I remember Fox News was going to be the first, some show on Fox was going to be the first one to unveil the trailer. And it had like record ratings because that people just wanted to see it. So
Yeah, I pre-ordered my
impact was
tickets over the phone for crying out
Oh,
loud.
the old days.
Yeah,
I waited in line 18 hours at the Orange Century 25
for tickets.
for tickets.
Oh my gosh.
I read like half a book. All these people brought their TVs. There was probably like 600 people in line. It was a big to do.
Oh man,
We played Trivial Pursuit and everything.
I took a break at work and I just hopped on the phone, made a personal phone call from the work line, and I ordered my tickets.
Oh man, good old days.
All right, David, where do you stick the Phantom Menace?
I have it at a B for a couple reasons. One, Duel of the Fates. I mean, come on, like that fight, that song, just like it was like the first real awesome like lightsaber fight I'd ever seen with like all the jumping around and everything. And of course, like the double lightsaber. Like I think I was 10 when this came out. Like destroyed my brain exploded. I was like, that was nuts. But I like pod racing. There was a pod racing game that came out on the N64 that I played into the ground. So I have fond memories of that. So
yeah.
All right, AJ, what say you? We got 2 C's and a B.
So because of everything, like at that point, like I was like 10 or 11, I think. All the products that had come out of it, I think that's what makes me enjoy this movie more. So like the double lightsaber, like so I was in Japan when this movie came out. So instantly when I saw this movie, I was like, I have to have a double lightsaber. So I had to go to like Navy Exchange, and they obviously they sold out already. So I'm like, all the other kids had it. So I had to end up getting like Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber. And I felt really upset because like all my friends had the double red ones, and they're like, let's fight. And I'm like, you have 2. I'm going to lose. Like that's 4 friends who have the double lightsaber. I have the green one. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose. He died in the movie.
It's easy to pick teams. Everyone with red versus green.
Yeah. And then like even I think like was it like Pepsi had like the cans for it, and I was really into collecting that stuff. So like I had collected all that stuff, and because of like all that, even like the Pod Racer game, which I was better than my friends, so sucks on them. I had put this movie at A just for the fond memories that it brought with me. If I rewatch it again, I'm sure I would still think it's like a low A, high B, probably.
Wow.
But yeah, I think like the memories with it was just overwhelming towards the movie.
Sure.
2 C's, a B, and an A. Are we actually going to make
Phantom Menace
a B?
Look, sure. I didn't even know people hated the prequel trilogy till like the internet like really like social media came along. Like those between like 2000 and like 2003 and 4-ish, like I was happy.
Yeah.
and then like MySpace came along, and then it went all downhill.
Fell on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this movie itself, like I think Darth Maul himself, like as soon as I saw him, like holy crap, that guy's cool.
When he jumped off the speeder and he only had the one part of the blade up, and he was just attacking Qui-Gon. That's like one of my favorite parts ever. When he just hops off this bike and just goes to town, and then when he picks up the droid head and uses the Force to open up the door. Whoo! A little bit of pee came out at that part.
I like that Qui-Gon has to tell Anakin to drop. Like, Darth Maul was literally going to run over a kid to get to Qui-Gon. He's like, well, wrong place, wrong time, little guy.
Yeah. Packed his anger.
What were you going to say, AJ? Sorry.
I was going to say, like, you brought it up. Was like the action itself, like, it's far different than the previous or the original trilogy. So, like, when I watched it, I was like, wow, that is crazy. Like, again, with my friends, like, playing, they try to do, like, some flips. Not successful. I was never going to try that. I was a husky boy. I'm still husky, so I am not going to attempt to do any flips and tricks to pretend I'm a Jedi myself. Go to Star Wars land now.
Lucas compared the original trilogy to the new one. It's Jedi in their prime, and the other movies are old men and robots. That's how he compared it. It's like, well, if you're Lucas, you could do it. But the movie up next, I had a very similar reaction to David Clark, that I had no idea that there was anyone who ever had anything bad to say about Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, to me, is the perfect end to the original saga. It is an SSSSS. It is my 3rd favorite of the saga films. My 2nd favorite will cause a bunch of fights, I'm sure. But my 3rd favorite Star Wars film was Return of the Jedi. It's got a perfect ending. Like Justin, I am a huge Luke Skywalker guy. I love Darth Vader. The throne room scene where they kind of come together, you have that music. It's just, oh my God, just thinking about it. It wasn't until many years later I realized that people hated Ewoks, and because of that, they hated Return of the Jedi.
Why do they hate Ewoks?
I don't know. People are weird, dude.
I like the Ewoks.
They're adorable, and they eat people.
Yeah.
I found out later on they speak Tagalog, so.
Yeah, I love
They
everything
do.
about Return of the
They eat
Jedi.
lumpia too.
So for me, Return of the Jedi is a definite S. It's an amazing finale to the original trilogy that was kind of negated by the sequel trilogy. So
Yeah.
start at the bottom this time. AJ, what say you about Return of the Jedi?
I had mine at A. There was a lot of action in that movie that I had just adored. I think just sitting down and watching, I'm like, wow, this is great. Like I think the entertainment value that this movie brought was fantastic. Again, I love the Ewoks, so I don't know what people are talking about. I didn't even find out until later. Like I said, like they speak Tagalog, and I'm like, do they? So when I rewatched it, I'm like, oh, they do. Oh, that's so weird. Oh, I didn't catch that until now. I think even like the speeder fights are really intricate. Like they're really cool too for me. So for me, it was an A.
Yeah,
All right,
well,
David,
I
what
think
say you? Oh, sorry.
the speeder bikes in the forest were
Yeah.
so badass. I was like, oh my god, are those real? How do I get one? It's like the greatest thing ever.
I feared, like, man, how can they pilot? How can they move away from a tree so fast? Like,
I
I,
know,
don't have
and
the
the-
reaction time for that.
And they're like
Magic.
looking around, like, what's going on? And I'm like, dude, you're going like 100 miles an hour in that giant forest. You're gonna die.
And then you see how they film it, and it's just so underwhelming. It's a guy with a camera shooting 1 frame a second, literally walking through the forest. Like, he's not running, he's not briskly walking. He's just trudging along at like 1 frame a second.
Nice for
with camera.
watching.
You play it- Yeah, you play it back, and it's like,
Oh man, no, I had it at an A. I enjoyed Ewoks. I really like when he showed up to Jabba's palace and like this is Luke after a few years of training has gone by. I get to see him be a little more in his own self, his own Jedi-ness. But I liked it, and I liked that they didn't save Vader at the end. Like he knew that, I'm back on the good side, but like I really can't live out in the galaxy after this, so I gotta go.
Yeah, he's gotta go like door to door, like, hey, I probably killed your kids, and I feel bad about
He's
it.
like, I
Sorry.
killed so many people, so
door to
many
door.
people. Yeah,
Right. You get on a list doing that kind of stuff.
yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I love it. I actually didn't know until like a couple of years ago that people didn't like that movie. I just assumed that it was just like sacred.
yeah. And then like space battles, like one of the best space battles. It's I just love everything about it. So, Justin, what do you say about Return of the Jedi?
Oh man, boom, right there. S for me.
Nice.
Love this movie. When Luke shows up at Jabba's palace and he's like force choking Gamorrean guards, you're like, oh, okay, so this is a new and improved Luke Skywalker. And then when R2 shoots up his lightsaber in the air and he catches it, that's one of my favorite moments in Star
Yeah.
Wars. And he's just there to save the day and just causes a ruckus. And just absolutely love it. Again, the space battles are really cool. When his lightsaber turned on and it was green, I was like, oh my god, it's great! That is so cool! We'd only ever seen like the blue and the red before. And it's just the little things like that that just go such a long way with me. And I just remember thinking that was so cool. And his lightsaber was kind of a combination of his old one and Obi-Wan's. It had the sort of the saucer thing at the top. Really dug that too. That was like my favorite lightsaber ever. Of course, as time went on, they got really creative and some really neat hilts came out of that, which is where a lot of the fun comes from with Star Wars is the unique hilts. But I just everything about this movie is awesome. That space battle at the end is so cool. There's only a handful of sci-fi movies that have incredible space battles, and Star Wars has got it figured out. Return of the Jedi, and I think even like Episode 3, that whole opening was, which we'll get into,
Right.
I'm sure. It was just everything that I ever needed a movie to be when I was a little boy.
All right.
So it is an S for me.
Also, Leia killed Jabba the Hutt, so
Right.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Badass.
that's you bring up an interesting point. That's a first celebrity crush for a lot of people. Was seeing Slave Leia. You're like, oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people in the chat are asking about the special edition changes, and for me, I think Return of the Jedi has the worst changes. Between Jedi Rocks, taking out Yub Nub at the end, and all of the many incarnations of the Force Ghost, having Vader say no when Palpatine is
Right.
Force lightning Luke. So for me, a lot of the changes that they've made to Return of the Jedi are not important. I think really the only things that I care about that they changed is the Empire Strikes Back, the Bespin stuff. I think all of that is great, and all of that should continue to be included. A lot of the other stuff, I'm like, it's fun, but not needed.
You bring up an interesting point about Vader too. When he, rather than him yelling no, is here's an expressionless mask, but we're able to see the transition of him seeing how horrible the events are in front of him. Like he's like deciding, and we're able to see that in a mask where that there's no mouth or anything like that, and you just kind of just see it in his eyes, the way like looking back and forth, how he's staring at it, and the lightning's flickering on his helmet, and you just know in that instant that he changes, and that's pretty powerful. And for them to add the no is pretty silly.
Yeah.
But they did add Vader to the next film, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Probably has one of the greatest, if not the greatest, scene in the history of Star
It's
Wars.
so good.
That ending scene. For me, I won't talk too long because I know some of the people have this very high on their list. I have it as my top A. I think it is incredible. Yeah, A for me. Justin.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm an A on this one. It's my favorite of the newest Star Wars movies to come out. Love this movie from start to finish. I like how it's dirty, it's scary. The Empire is something to be feared. You know, that when at the beginning, when they're just kind of whispering and they're trying not to get caught, you know, there's this whole fear aspect. And when they're on the marketplace and the battle takes place, right there's like insurgents and guerrilla warfare, and it just shows what a terrible time this is to be alive. And then finally at the very end, when Vader is just Jason Voorhees chopping everybody up, just this unstoppable force. There's nothing for me that is bar none the greatest scene in all of Star Wars is when Vader turns on his lightsaber and just mows through those poor rebel scum.
Nice.
The grass was long, needed to be cut.
Yep.
Sure are rebel scum. What do you say, AJ?
I had this at my high A. For me, I think when they announced this movie and then like they started revealing some of the cast members, I was like, when they showed like Donnie Yen and like Forrest Whitaker, I was like, usually when they put big names, I get pretty skeptic about it because the big names are, to me, I always feel like sometimes they have to add the big names to help gain attention. But after watching the movie, I'm like, oh no, that was a pretty good movie. Like I enjoyed it. I think even like the sad ending for it is like the way it ends is like, well, I think I sat there in the theater and I was like, wow, I really went with this route. Cool. Like nice. Like I like that. Like I don't want happy endings. I just want that kind of like ending where I'll just leave the theater going, wow. So yeah, it was definitely a high A for me.
Nice. What about you, Dave?
I had it at a high A. I was glad that like at the end, like when Jin and Dude were like when they were about to no longer be alive, like they didn't like kiss or nothing. They're just like it was more realistic. They were like, hey, we're dead, but we did our job, so that was cool. That felt a little bit more grounded. I did love the Vader scene. When he just oh boy, here I go killing again. Just going around. I thought that was amazing. I just like everything about it was good. The cast was great. I loved at the end when like how it ended right into a New Hope basically. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty cool. Actually, some people stayed after the credits to see there was an after credit scene. It's like, bro, the sequels.
Yeah, I know.
It's been out.
About it.
I remember that. I stay at the credits because I like always staying at the credits.
Right.
I saw people stay, and I heard them. They're like, "There's got to be something after." And like, I remember just sitting there thinking, "Are they serious?" Like, yeah. I'm here because I do this on purpose. Like, I do this for a reason. They're really trying to find out if there's an after credit.
Yeah. Right.
Ooh.
Like, Star Wars. That's what's coming next. But like the one thing,
the sequel.
The one thing that kept from being an S for me is the fact that how do you put Donnie Yen in a Star Wars movie and he's not a Force user? Like I feel like that
was going to be.
I was waiting for it, but
he's walking to hit the button when he was going to push the button and he's saying, "I'm one with the Force one with me." I'm like, all right, this staff, it's coming out. And
yeah. And I think it's worth noting that the technology that they used to bring Peter Cushing back for Tarkin, I thought that was pretty cool. And Darth Vader has a castle and a butler. I think that's important to remember.
And he was funny.
Yeah, he's got puns.
I was like, yo, he's got clowned by Vader.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. I want a castle on a lava planet.
Arguably my least favorite part of Star Wars is when
you have a pun.
What Oh, when he said that, I was like, oh man.
Oh, I love that. That was hilarious.
And we were talking about Ben Mendelsohn the other day too, and how funny he is in the Marvel movies. And here he is. He's just like a spoiled child in this movie, just screaming like, "It's my Death Star! I want to be in charge!"
Yeah, I own 5 Funko Pops, and 2 of them are Admiral Akbar. But I was convinced that Director Krennic was going to be a big deal because I'm a big Empire guy. I love Imperials, and so I went and I actually got his Funko Pop. So 20% of my Funko Pop collection
It's Ben Mendelsohn.
is Ben Mendelsohn. I should get a Talos just so I can have both his characters.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, the next film this is where I lose friends. This is where people start to discount my love for Star Wars, which should be above reproach, I think. And as you can see from my shelf, my Grand Army of the Republic and my clones and my Order 66, it should be absolutely no surprise that Revenge of the Sith is my second favorite Star Wars movie of all time. It is S tier for me. I love it. I love it. I love everything about it. Even the terrible acting in Coruscant between Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen. Order 66 is just incredible. That opening sequence with the spaceships and stuff. Woo! It's getting hot in here. I love it.
Open a window. This flower is a Wilton.
I cannot wait to hear everyone tell me how wrong I am about this movie. So let's start at the bottom. AJ, where do you put Revenge of the Sith?
I had this movie at my high C, low B kind of tier, just because it had brought for me the memes, and I am very fond of these memes that come up from it. So, and because of it, like every time, I'm like, I'm gonna go rewatch that movie. So to me, it is one of those like guilty pleasure movies that I watched, and then like as soon as that meme shows up, there it is. It's satisfying. It's so weird like that. Like I'm not gonna judge it based on like on the story, and like I'm just here to see this scene happen, and cool. Definitely for me, it was the high C, low B.
Gave you all the high ground memes.
For on this tier, it did not have the high ground. So.
All right, Clark.
I gave it a B because it won the high ground. Obviously, yeah, that's most of Star Wars is the high ground. I did love the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin at the end. And I loved how when he gets sense that he was going to try and do the same jumping maneuver that he did to kill cut in half Darth Maul. He's like, don't try it. And he did it, and he's like, dude, I told him. You'll learn today, Anakin. So I did like that. There's a lot of funny things in it too, like the fact that Anakin, when he was talking to Palpatine, he missed 3 evil head turns in one conversation. He couldn't figure it out. That this man is clearly a dark side user. But the thing that kept from getting higher for me is the fact that they just couldn't figure out really how to accurately show a lot of the Jedi, losing. Like Windu should not have lost that easy. Some of the other masters should not have been caught off guard that easy, But I get though. Order 66, that could probably be a movie in and of itself. That's a lot of stuff to try and show as part of another movie. So I get why they had to do that, but definitely it is good. It's not terrible by any means.
Yeah, and it's important to realize that Windu beats Palpatine. Windu has won that fight, and the only reason that that the Emperor survives is because of Anakin's betrayal. And I think a lot of people underestimate Windu. That yes, he dies there, but he defeated the evil Palpatine.
Shatterpoint really helps out a lot.
Take that, old man.
I feel like as Windu was falling, he's like, I was right about Anakin.
I told you. That's why you're not a master.
Yes.
I am the
only have a seat.
that is a really good. Like, if you Google the Senate, like you get the United States Senate, but then you get Palpatine's face. Like, I love that.
It's like a million memes.
I think when I see like Nike's logo, like just do it. Like I hear like Palpatine's voice, and I'm like, this is not working out well for me.
All right, Justin, what do you say about Revenge of the Sith? We got an S, we got a B, and we got a C.
Right. I'd probably put it at an A. I do have some problems with it. Like, I don't think it was enough for Anakin to just move over to the dark side, especially with Padme still being alive. I feel like if if he were to have thought that she was killed and it was because of the Jedi, I think that would have been a much more powerful reason for him to just say, "Oh yeah, you're right, the Jedi are bad." But he just goes off the deep end way too quickly for me. I think that's my only real main deterrent. But I enjoy the hell out of this movie. I think it's great. I love the space battle at the beginning. I love all the lightsaber fights. His battle with Obi-Wan at the end is just legendary. The amount of work and effort that they put into the training and practice for the choreography for that fight, it really shows. Like they were 100% all in on that, and I don't think that they disappointed the fans in the least bit. So I'm an A on this one.
And one thing about the movie though that I actually realized after watching it the first time, the whole bring balance to the Force prophecy, like it kind of put it in perspective. The Jedi thought bring balance to the Force meant that we were going to
Peace and harmony and yoga,
the Jedi's going to be in power. No, balance meant no. We're going to cut both sides down. And I mean, Anakin did it. He cut both sides down. So.
two and two at the end of it, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Shout out to that youngling that tried to fight out those people, like, and then just like died at that. I was like, oh man.
George Lucas' son.
Yeah. And oh, go ahead.
No, you go for it.
I was just gonna say, anytime I go to a fast food place and my ticket number is 66, I always
yeah.
Like it says order 66. I'm like, all right.
66 right there. I think it's important to, I know Anakin's turn does kind of come out of nowhere, but we have 3 movies of the Jedi Council just like shitting on him.
Yeah.
Like even like the first thing he comes, the Jedi give him Yoda and Mace Windu give him a test, and he passes it. He gets everything right, and then they say, "We're not going to train you. Get lost, kid. We don't want your kind here, kid. We hate you." And then by episode 3, all of a sudden you're on the council with Jedi Master, and it's just like Mace Windu just being so mean to him. And then even when Anakin does the right thing, and he comes to Mace Windu and he's like, "Palpatine is the Sith. I don't know how we missed it." They know that he's close to Palpatine, and he's just betrayed who they think that he's working for. And even then he's like, "If what you say is true, my trust in you will be restored." I'm like, what do you mean if what I said is true? Why would I lie to you about this? Mace Windu, I'm going to come cut your arm off in like 15 minutes.
Right. Also, they left his mom in slavery.
Yeah.
We can't forget.
There were weight capacity issues on the ship. They had to leave something behind.
They had to bring extra droids. She's a queen after all. She has to have her servants.
They brought 3PO, but not her.
If it was the Titanic, she would have been on the bottom deck there. She would have been shoving coal into that ship.
So we have an S, we have an A, we have a B, and a C. So that equals out to S. Is that what it evens out to?
Yeah. Okay. Since you're the hardcore Star Wars guy, and David got a veto last one, this is your veto. So if you want to make it an S,
I don't want to veto it. We're a group. I will take. Maybe that evens out to like the bottom A or the first B. I'm fine with either of those. For my personal rankings, it goes in between Empire and Return of the Jedi. It's my number 2, but I will let you guys do the law of averages. There's a lot of S's in the chat.
I could see him being ARS. I mean,
yeah, I can be.
Or
we'll
give it to you. We'll give it to you. That's
what?
fine.
I will. Yeah, you guys are the best.
You can. Oh.
And I will. How about this? I'll let you veto either of the next 2. The 2 most recent films. First up being Solo, a Star Wars story. I have to admit that when this came out, this was probably the first time I was ever like. I'll never say I wasn't excited for a Star Wars film because I'm always excited for Star Wars. But it was kind of a film that like we absolutely 100% didn't need. Like there's so much story to mine. How Han Solo got his blaster and how he got the Falcon and how he got Chewie and all of these questions, I just didn't need to know the answer to. I just really, really, didn't need to see it on film. Having said that, it's still a pretty enjoyable movie. It moves quick. It's got a pretty good cast. I love Donald Glover as Lando. When he has this whole like little closet of capes and stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, you are amazing. So for me, I would put it at a low B, just because it is enjoyable. It was a nice kind of palate cleanser in between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. So B for me. Justin.
Oh, my turn. Yeah, so actually every time I watch this, I enjoy it a little bit more. The first time I saw it, I wasn't really into it all that much. I don't get the whole dice thing and why that's important. And like every 5th frame was a shot of the dice. And I was like, okay, I get it. they're supposed to mean something, but they mean absolutely nothing to me. But when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was really, really cool. Like when we saw the lightning effects with in the clouds, and you saw the ships, I thought that was pretty badass. And I like how the Millennium Falcon's always been sort of this sort of testy computer system, and it's kind of funny that it was Lando's droid that got its like consciousness or whatever put into the ship, and so that kind of explains why it's such a finicky little piece of hardware. So I thought that was cool too, and I loved the look that Han gave when he saw Beckett twirling his little blaster, and he was immediately like romanticized by this lifestyle that these guys are living, and so it was like a calling to him. So I think that was what made me really enjoy it. And I would probably say a high C or a low B. So I'll keep it at a B.
All right, Mr. Clark.
I had it at a D. I wasn't impressed by the trailer just because of the Solo's acting. It just didn't look great. Like I actually waited to watch it on a plane for free because I didn't want to spend money on it. Yeah, like it wasn't good. Now that being said, Bandai Hobby, if you're listening, the native little rebel people and the snow troopers, I would love those as model kits. So please do that. But other than that, no, I didn't. Like it's a pass for me, dog.
All right, Randy.
All right, AJ. What do you say, AJ?
Not thinking back on any of the other Star Wars films and just like watching it individually, it's fun. I think for me, I've watched it only 2 times, but for both times I've watched, I'm like, okay, like it's enjoyable enough, like not the greatest of it all. So I will say it is a high C for me.
All right, we can leave it there. 2 Bs, a C, and a D.
All right. Well, there you go. And now we come to the most recent Star Wars film, Rise of Skywalker. This is a film I am of 2 minds of. If I take it as the culmination of the sequel trilogy, it kind of gets 1 ranking. If I take it as the culmination of the entire 9-film Star Wars saga, it gets a much lower grading because I don't think it sticks that landing. But as far as if I'm just taking it as a self-contained film that culminates the sequel trilogy, I think that Rise of Skywalker is a B, a low B, high C. I can remember leaving the theater after every Star Wars film, and I remember leaving the theater after watching Rise of Skywalker and just being like, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this movie. The Palpatine of it all is problematic, but I think it's a fun movie. AJ, you're up.
I'm gonna put this movie at a C. Like there were some fun parts, there was bad parts. I think for me, I don't know why, but the one that did the trick was their little magic trick that they had going through that movie. Like,
Passing the lightsaber.
The hand goes behind, and I got your nose or something. Like,
it's called Force Skype.
That thing for me. Like as soon as I saw, I'm like, I don't know what it is about it, but that was kind of cool. All right, you're not that bad of a movie, so I'll give it the C that I believe it is.
All right, what do you say, David?
All right, so I give it a D because they added they gave Force Skype the ability to send attachments, which kind of invalidates traveling through space. It just the whole thing was just not cohesive, and also it's not the Skywalker saga anymore.
It's the magic trick.
It's the Palpatine saga. It's about how he turned the strongest Force user ever to his side, corrupted him, destroyed his whole legacy, took over the galaxy, and even when he gets killed, his bloodline sits on top, and his granddaughter took their house and their name. Palpatine wins, So it's like, yeah. The one part I did like was when Rey threw the lightsaber into the fire and Luke caught it, and it was like, a Jedi's weapon should be treated with more respect. And I was like, all right, good, take that, last dude. But other than that, though, it's like
Johnson.
I feel like it did a disservice to the whole, like them calling it the end of the Skywalker saga. It's like, no, this is the end of the Palpatine saga. He won.
If this was an Olympic thing, my numbers would be extremely low.
Right?
All right, Justin. I saw this film with you. I know you love this film, and it's a top S for you.
We saw it twice.
Yeah.
in a
So sorry.
row almost. And I think what's important to remember, I think for a lot of us, is when we first see a Star Wars movie, the excitement level has an impact on our judgment, and we're just kind of thrilled to be a part of that experience in the theater with all kinds of Star Wars fans of all ages. And I think the first time I saw it, I walked away thinking, that was fun. I enjoyed it. I had a smile on my face, and that's important. And then the second time I watched it, I was able to kind of look at it through a different lens and be a little bit more objective. And I was able to spot flaws or things that I didn't necessarily care for. And one of the things that bothered me most was when Leia says, "Don't be afraid of who you are." And then at the end of the movie, when the lady's like, "Hey, I haven't seen you around these parts. What's your name? Who was your paw?" kind of thing. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, it's Skywalker. Check this out." And it's like, man, you had an opportunity to say the name Palpatine, and you didn't. And that kind of bothered me.
She was scared.
Yeah.
Or
Just
any other
like
name.
your grandfather.
Yeah, or any other name, right?
Or
And-
Solo. She loved Ben Solo, and she looked at Han as a father. She could have been Rey Solo.
Right. And I think there was a real big missed opportunity in that final battle. There's all those like Sith acolytes hanging out in the rafters, and it would have been really cool to have that sort of Return of the King vibe with all these Force ghosts coming and taking care of all of them. I think that could have been done, and I'm sad that it wasn't.
Special edition.
And like Poe Dameron, my
Yeah.
favorite character, he's like second guessing himself. He's always been just like, this is the way we gotta do it. This is the way we gotta do it. And then finally, at the end of the movie, he's like, I don't really know. I'm just kind of lost right now. And so I didn't really like that. He's always been to take charge and be like sort of the Red Baron of the fleet and just take out everybody. And he wasn't doing that in this movie, and that kind of bothered me too. But I think at the end of the day, I would probably give it a C, and I feel comfortable with that.
No?
There were horses in this
See, it
movie,
is.
right?
They're space horses, yes.
Oh yeah, that's definitely why it's a C on my end. I didn't expect any kind of animal like that, and then a horse showed up.
Because
What
they
is
were going
that?
to magnetize the hull, and they were going to get trapped.
The
They
ship.
had to have horses.
Can you explain, David, how the ships could not navigate up the planet? So they don't have the ability to go up.
Up's tricky.
Yeah,
No,
you gotta be
it's not.
you gotta be a helicopter or a Harrier to do it.
You ever
see
mess
what-
with a
Thinking
3D program?
fourth-dimensionally.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, yeah, there's really no excusing that. I get the impression that the directors of The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker, none of them saw the other movies, which is interesting because one guy directed 2 of them, and you would have thought that he would have remembered what he did in those other movies. And it's like if I explained the movie in complex thematics to like my 10-year-old, and then my 10-year-old told his friend on the playground, and then his friend told his mom,
Telephone.
and then his mom told the director of the next film what happened. And it's so incongruent. And so as a sequel, the only real through line through the entire sequel saga that has a rewarding through line is Kylo and Rey. I buy their storyline all the way through, up until the fact where he kind of dies. But that's a little weird.
He says, "Ow," and then he dies.
Yeah, and then he like Shmi Skywalker level, like, ugh.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think they tried to give Poe this nice arc. He's this hotshot, cocky pilot in Force Awakens. He's really humbled by Leia and Holdo in The Last Jedi, and so to try to make him not so concerned about just the fighter pilot, but to become this like leader, and it just doesn't really manifest properly in the finale. Finn is totally wasted in this film. John Boyega has been very vocal, and I think that he got done dirty. There just seems to be so many behind the scenes battles between everybody, but I know people have heard this, so I won't harp on it too long. But I feel comfortable with this ranking. I think that for the most part, it echoes a lot of my sentiments. The bottom half kind of is a little bit different than mine, but the top half is very much what I would agree. What do you guys say?
I think it's crazy that episode 1 is a B. If you would have asked me that 20 years ago, I would have been like, no, it's like the worst movie ever made. But it's one of those ones. And honestly, that's more to my point on Rise of the Sky, or not Rise of the Sky, Last Jedi. I honestly think that 20 years from now, people are going to really start to say that movie is incredible.
never.
Yep. I'm
know what?
telling you, man.
There's
I'm
gonna be
telling
worse
you.
movies?
Let's do a live stream 20,
20
years from now.
All right.
So,
Wherever we are.
I'll do a calendar invite.
Yeah.
We're gonna remind everyone every year these will stay here at this bottom area.
10, 10, 20, 40. We re-rank the what will at that point be like the 80 Star Wars films.
Yeah,
Right.
Maybe.
Man.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Anyone have anything else to add to the mighty Star Wars franchise?
Last Jedi sucked.
Oh, man.
The robots, their personality is growing. Like as the series keeps, getting and keeps progressing. Like they keep putting more personalities into it. And for me, I like that. I like that. Like BB-8 makes the noises, and you're like, cool. I know that you're mad. I can't know that you're angry. He has a little, what is it, like the little lighter? I'm like, that was
He
cool.
gives
The
a
little
thumbs
lighter
up.
thumbs
That's
up.
like the coolest
Yeah.
thing.
I think I forget which social media it was, but like if you press like, it was a thumbs up for a while. I think it was Facebook, but
Oh,
that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
And I feel bad
Yeah.
that during my Rise of Skywalker talk, I didn't talk about Babu Frick, who is one of my
Babu
favorite
Frick
stars.
was a bright
Yeah.
spot in an otherwise dark universe, so he was pretty cool.
There are
Oh,
so
wait.
many phone calls and times I enter a room where I go like, "Hey, hey!"
Hooray! But David, one thing you said about Poe Dameron getting humbled in Last Jedi. One problem I had with that, why didn't Holdo tell anybody the plan? I always wonder that. Like every time I think about that movie, it's like, can you just say that if you do you have a plan? You just
Right.
you caused the
Communication.
mutiny with your bad leadership. Leia would have never done that.
It's a 10-point plan, 3 parts per point, and it didn't get discussed at all. But I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Is like they're counterproductive because Poe's coming up with his own scheme that all amounts to nothing. Because if they just would have got the plan from the beginning, we could have just had a 45-minute movie, and we'd have been okay with that.
Yeah.
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 What
Well,
can
cool.
you do? It's on
Well,
a
this is
need-to-know
our
basis.
and you don't need to know. These are our Star Wars rankings. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you agree with us, think we're crazy, let us know your top 3 Star Wars films in whatever social platform you're watching this video in. And make sure to go to bluefinbrands.com. Check out all of our deals and promotions for New York Comic Con. Enter that contest at bluefinbrands.com/contest for a chance to win some prizes. We're giving away $5,000 worth of prizes. And make sure to follow us at Bluefin Brands. That's the best place to keep up with everything having to do
We got
with
lucky
New York
bags.
Comic-Con. And we got lucky bags. Buy them lucky bags. And since we're talking about Star Wars, we should definitely mention the Mandalorian May Show on premiumband.us. It is an incredible figure. Everyone loves the Mandalorian. It's amazing. It's in everyone's head. And now, we have a Star Wars movie realization May Show figure based on the popular character. And you should definitely check it out. So until next time, we will talk to you guys later. And thanks for joining us for the live stream. And have a fun rest of your New York Comic Con.